and that's using your powers for good. SCE Time of Use Rate, an easy way to make a change for the better. Visit SCE.com/POU rate for more information.
Over the last 30 years, 8 million U.S. service members have returned home after serving our country around the world. The biggest challenge of returning vet faces is getting back to everyday life, and a key for that is personal wellness. iHeartRadio has teamed up with some of America's biggest veteran organizations and programs to create Show Your Stripe, a one-stop destination for veterans and their families to find the resources they need. If you're a veteran facing challenges, or if you're looking out for the well-being of a veteran you know, visit showyourstripe.org today. You know, for the past 10 years, you've generously given the Caterpillar Club
하지 마시네.
and hundreds of tons of food. But here's the thing about hunger. It doesn't end with one meal. The kids still need to eat every day. And KFI remains committed to keeping those children fed.
진짜.
Our 11th annual is coming soon. Join us on Tuesday, November 30th on KFI. Your eating habits. For the sake of discussion, I'll accept that this plan is a true working and that Jesus takes us out and this is out of the true one. Okay, so God chooses to, for whatever reason, chooses to create the universe, the world, and man. When he creates the world, he creates a world that is heavily influenced by unpredictability. So, let's assume that two individuals exist, individual A and individual B. Mm-hmm. Both of them are not Christian, but they're open-minded and teachable. They hear that Story Graham's crusade is coming to town, so both of them decide to go. Individual A goes, he listens to the sermon, and he accepts Jesus Christ according to John 14:6 and Romans 10:9 and 10. Mm-hmm. And he's saved and he's on his way to heaven. Individual B also wants to go to the crusade, but on his way he is hit by a meteorite and his car is destroyed and he's killed, or there's an earthquake, or there's a flood, or there's a thunderstorm, or whatever. He loses control of the car and he's killed for whatever reason by accident, due to unpredictability. And unpredictability that God creates in himself. He created the world. Now, God in his all-knowingness knows that if individual B had gone to the crusade, he would have accepted Jesus Christ in the same manner as individual A did. But since he didn't, the Bible is very clear on what is required to go to heaven. By the verses I just quoted, he's going to hell. Now, can you possibly tell me how there's any fairness in that at all?
Well, in your scenario, absolutely not, no.
No.
But that's not the biblical scenario. What you've done is you've taken certain parts of Scripture and you said these are what you're going to build your argument on instead of the entirety of Scripture. And in that sense, absolutely, you're right. If that's where the story ended, absolutely. However, Romans 1 talks about the difference between general and special revelation, and the difference between somebody who doesn't hear the specialness of the gospel, the specificity of the gospel, yet can still know God's nature through things they see and know. And that the salvation through the blood on the cross, this problem really arises not from you, but from the way Christians display Christianity and talk about Christianity. And they focus in solely on the Christian's walk and not understanding the fact that there are people that can receive God, never even hearing the word Jesus. So the payment is still made by me on the cross, but it's received by somebody under different circumstances that maybe has not received the gospel. Now, there's a difference, a major difference here. If that person driving to the Billy Graham crusade has heard the gospel, understands the gospel, knows the gospel, but has rejected it up until that point, then they're accountable for their rejection. It's not based on ignorance. There's this misnomer that Christianity is based on ignorance or knowledge. Oh, well, you're part of the in club, you know, so you get in. Or you're not part of the in club, you don't know, so you don't get in. That's not it. It's about rejection. You have to know it to reject it. So there are all kinds of levels within that. For instance, somebody who has a form of mental retardation or lack of mental capacity that can't receive or know or have that knowledge through the very things you quoted in John and Romans. They do not have the capacity. So that would be a problem. But it's not. God is not looking at technicalities. God is looking at the rejection or the acceptance of the heart. The profession that you were talking about when you're reading from Romans, and it talks about, for it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved. The difference there is the being justified and believing doesn't even get into the mouth part. The mouth part is not talking about just saying it. It's about taking what is in your heart and manifesting it in what you do. Like your money is where your mouth is, right? It is taking it and living it. It's not about, well, gosh, it's in my heart, I'm going to say it, I'm in. People reduce that reductionism, that informal logical fallacy of reductionism, to reduce it down to those things, misses the beauty and intensity of the gospel and the depth of the gospel. There is much more to it than that. That is a simplified focus of somebody receiving it in their heart first. It's not just an intellectual thing. And then receiving it to a point where they actualize it. Because it means nothing if you don't actualize it. You're obviously a learned fella. If you look at a pencil, there's a reasoning process in logic. If you look at a pencil and you say, that's a pencil, I know that that's a pencil, I know that a pencil writes. When you pick it up into your hand, you put it on to a piece of paper, the graphite transfers to the paper, and you can write with it. But if you don't pick it up, it doesn't matter what you believe. It could be a penguin, it could be a banana. It doesn't mean anything if you don't apply it. If you don't pick it up, that third point of logic is to apply it. If you don't apply it, it doesn't matter what it is because you're not using it. So likewise, in these verses, what it's talking about is that if you know it, you see it, you believe it, and you act upon it, then you have it. You've gone through those three stages of logic. And you've noticed it, you've accepted the knowledge of it, and you've applied that knowledge. And that's what it's talking about there. So if the person driving to the event to become a Christian had all that opportunity and rejected it, yes, they are accountable for what they rejected. You're kind of looking at it as if they had no knowledge about anything. They lived in a hut, and they've been cut off from the world. They had no knowledge of it, and they didn't. And so they lucked out because they got hit by a meteor or what have you. But that's not the reality. The reality is that person, that going to a crusade is not information most of the time, it's confirmation. It's somebody taking that last step and applying it to their life and saying they're going to stand up in front of people, they're going to, with their mouth, with their body, apply and say, hey, I'm going to be accountable. I'm here in front of thousands of people. I am going to be accountable, and I'm going to walk towards that altar and say with my body and my being that this is what's in my heart. And if that was in that person's heart when they were driving, that last part won't matter. But if rejection was in their heart, they are accountable for that. Even if they were driving somewhere, because they could reject it there too. And God knows those things. The unknown is you looking at this, but not God. And so if you walk out in the middle of the movie, It's a Wonderful Life is a horrible movie. You walk out in the middle of it. Absolutely. It ends with James Stewart committing suicide. But if you follow it to its logical conclusion, the entirety of Scripture, no, there is still accountability and choice and rejection or acceptance long before that person ever gets to the Billy Graham crusade.
I understand that. That makes sense to a certain degree, but you have to admit that televangelists and ministers make it sound pretty simple to be saved.
Yes, and it's not that it's difficult, it's that it's true. It's like love. Love is not difficult. You have to say, I am willing to be selfless for you because I love you so much. I want to dedicate my life to doing what I can for you, not just for me. It is simple. When you look at it, the parts are not complicated. However, you look at it as a race, and if they get to that deadline, then they're good, and they break through that toilet paper or that streamer at the end, then they're good. And this guy, his tire went flat, and the handlebars fell off his bike, and so he is out of luck just because that happened, and that's not the case. It's not. Everyone looks at God as if God is just checking off these checks and balances and going, oh, whoa, gosh, you got so close. That's not it. If someone has the will and intent to change their life, truly, and the problem that humans have with this, for the most part, is that they're liars. And they think that, well, I'll just lie to God, or I pretended that I had that. That's not the way it works. God knows your heart. And he knows if you're actually rejecting him, but saying with your mouth. That's why those 2 points are so important. You can't just profess it with your mouth and make it in. And you can't just feel it with your heart and say, gosh, I have a liver quiver, or I went to this crusade and I really felt warm inside, and I think that makes me a Christian. No, he's saying that you're going to have a combination of this change in your heart and a physical accountability to that change. And you're going to actualize that change. And that's what's important. It's not about doing some specific thing a specific way and then getting in. That's not it at all. You are it. The Richie Ruth Craig Show. To ask your questions, dial 800-520-1534.
Starting May 3rd, 2023, you may need a real ID to board domestic flights, and there's never been a better time to apply than right now. It's no secret, we're all ready to start traveling again. From family reunions to romantic vacations or a getaway with friends, Real ID is your ticket to fly. There's no need to wait. Visit CaliforniaRealID.org today to start the application and be ready to go wheels up whenever you want. DMV Online, ready when you are.
As parents, we've done everything we can to keep our kids safe, happy, and healthy during this pandemic. From finding the best face masks to making sure their hands are clean. And now we have the best tool to help keep them even safer. The most important thing we can do is vaccinate our kids to protect them against COVID-19. Vaccines have been proven safe and effective for children 5 and up. Talk to your child's doctor or visit myturn.ca.gov to find a vaccine near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Hey parents, have you ever wondered how to talk to your kids about the crazy things happening in the world? As great as schools can be, they often don't teach important things like hard work, how to start a business, the golden rule, or how the economy works. But kids need to learn about big ideas like these, which means it's up to you. So, how do you go about it? By telling your kids stories. And that's the power behind the beautifully illustrated Tuttle Twins book. The Tuttle Twins is a series of children's books that have sold over 2 million copies already. These books teach important ideas that teachers in textbooks don't really discuss. And they make it super easy for you to help your kids learn the values that our country was founded upon. If you want to help your kids understand how the world works so they can be a positive part of it, go to TuttleTwinsRadio.com to get your set of books. You'll get a 35% off discount and free activity workbooks too. That's TuttleTwinsRadio.com.
Oh, hi, Angel. Hi, Devil. Uh-oh, is she shopping again? Calm down. She's just browsing electric toothbrushes. Oh, is she using public Wi-Fi? Honey, stop. It's not safe. Angel, relax. Go ahead, girl. Password is hack me.
You don't try to be unsafe when you're online, but it can be tempting.
It's asking for her passport info to buy a toothbrush? Sounds legit to me. I don't think so, Devil.
Norton 360 with LifeLock helps keep your digital life safer. With device security, a VPN to keep your Wi-Fi activity private, and identity theft protection, all in one. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but everyone can opt in to cyber safety.
It includes free shipping in exchange for her 401k info. That makes sense. Well, how can you pass up free shipping?
Save 25% or more off your first year of Norton 360 with LifeLock at norton.com/join. That's 25% off at norton.com/join.
By now, you've heard the news. Boosters for Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are available. They help keep your immunity strong and help keep you and others protected against COVID-19 and its variants. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find out if you're eligible and to find a booster near you. Let's keep each other safer and healthier this winter. Get your booster. And don't forget to get your flu shot, too. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health. By now, you've heard the news. Boosters for Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are available. They help keep your immunity strong and help keep you and others protected against COVID-19 and its variants. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find out if you're eligible and to find a booster near you. Let's keep each other safer and healthier this winter. Get your booster. And don't forget to get your flu shot, too. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Checking KFI traffic, we do have a crash in the Rialto area. 210 east on Riverside Avenue, that is blocking the right lane. To Seal Beach, still a little work going on the 405 southbound from Seal Beach Boulevard to Bolsa Chica. The two right lanes closed there. And look out for a vehicle fire in Hollywood on the 101 northbound at Gower Street. That's on the right shoulder. KFI in the sky. Let's get you there faster. I'm Jonathan White.
It is the Jesus Christ Show. I am your holy host. Happy to be with you this Sunday as I am with you every single Sunday right here, answering your questions and talking about things that truly matter in life and the afterlife. I encourage you to be brave. I encourage you to be bold. I encourage you to go to the phone with your theology question or life situation question. Anywhere in the U.S. of A, dial 800-520-1534, 800-520-1534. Dennis, welcome to the Jesus Christ Show.
Good morning.
Hi there.
In biblical times, the Jewish people atoned for sins with animal sacrifices. Jesus, the Messiah, was rejected largely by the Jewish people. And yet today, the ritual of animal sacrifices no longer continues with the Jewish people. Why and when did this process stop?
For Jews?
Yes.
Okay, because for Christians it doesn't play a part, obviously, because I was the last sacrifice.
Correct.
But for the Jewish people, and I don't want to speak for the belief system across the board, really you're dealing with prophecies and the destruction of the temple. That's primary. So there are those that believe until the temple is rebuilt, then it is unnecessary.
All right, very good.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. The sacrifice is interesting because the animal sacrifice was really to show kind of a... It was to show that there is consequences to sin. Sin being the big religious term for missing the mark, right? So you get, when you sin, it's not something tangible always that you see. And in order for an understanding of the justice that is needed, to kill something, to make an animal sacrifice, was to understand that something that death occurs, that there is greater consequence, and there is a debt that is instilled when you sin. To the Christian people, the understanding was to prepare them for my death, was to prepare them for an understanding of the payment that needs to be made as a consequence to the actions that people did. And those could be idea actions, those could be tangible physical actions, those could be all kinds of things that lie in sin. Because after all, lust and covetousness and things like that are sins as well. So those were a teaching process, an understanding. Imagine it this way: the people that live in tribes or live in parts of the very rural parts of the world, teaching their children that in order to eat, they have to hunt, they have to forage. There is a shed of blood and sweat and these things to get your food. Okay, you fast forward, and you have people that are, they go to supermarkets. They don't think about it, and then you also have more waste because of that. People go, oh well, I can buy more. They don't understand the consequences, the weight of their food or their actions on the world or any of that, because waste just becomes a part of life. I use this cup, I use whatever it is, I use it quickly, throw it away, and I don't worry about it. Well, spiritually, people were doing that as well. They weren't thinking of the consequences, and there needed to be a physical reminder, albeit a violent and ugly reminder, that what was taking place when you sinned was equally as ugly and violent as what was taking place when you sacrificed. And that sacrifice was showing the understanding of the weight of the sin as well. And it just doesn't tie in today for the Christian, because I was the last and final sacrifice for those that would believe and receive. And in doing that, there's no need for the Christian to sacrifice this day. You are listening to the Jesus Christ Show. To ask your question, dial 800-520-1534.
You're on. If you find yourself agreeing with everything we say, we're doing it wrong.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Missing
the March. I'm Brian Bruman, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. LA County is not expected to meet its goal of having 80% of people 12 and up fully vaccinated by the end of the year. County Health Director Barbara Ferrer says to meet that goal, the pace of vaccinations needs to increase by 60%, but she says it is doable. She says the number of unvaccinated people in the hospital has gone up sharply in the last few weeks, while the number of people hospitalized who are vaccinated remains pretty flat. Ferrer says unvaccinated people are 7 times more likely to become infected with COVID, and the risk of death is 60 times higher. Kaiser Permanente has reached a tentative agreement with the union for healthcare workers to keep thousands of employees from going on strike. That strike is set to start tomorrow, but the Alliance of Healthcare Unions says it's reached a deal on a 4-year contract that will guarantee better pay and benefits for nearly 50,000 healthcare employees.
Hearing no objections, it is so decided.
Nearly 200 countries have adopted a new deal on climate action to curb fossil fuel emissions to try to slow global warming. The deal came after India intervened to water down the language on cutting emissions from coal, which now calls for phasing down rather than phasing out coal power. Several countries said they are deeply disappointed the agreement didn't go further. India's environmental minister says developing countries need coal.
Developing countries have a right to their fair share of the global carbon budget and are entitled to the responsible use of fossil fuels within this scope.
The agreement came after 15 days of talks at the summit in Glasgow, Scotland. Mayor Garcetti is delaying his return to L.A. after he was supposed to return today. He's now making a stop in Washington, D.C. before coming back to SoCal on Tuesday. He'd been in isolation at his hotel in Scotland since he tested positive for COVID last week. Garcetti says he is fully vaccinated and he's only had mild symptoms. The government in Austria is putting a COVID lockdown in place, but only for people who aren't vaccinated. Anyone 12 or older who hasn't gotten a vaccine is not allowed to leave their house except for essential activities like work, buying groceries, or going to get a vaccine. Authorities say they're worried hospitals are going to be overwhelmed as the number of patients sick with COVID in the country grows. And open wide for a murder charge.
A dentist charged with murdering his 67-year-old mother will have his pretrial hearing Monday in Los Angeles. Prosecutors say 39-year-old Danielle Jacoby killed Violet Jacoby in her Beverly Hills home in October 2017. Her body was discovered a day later. The Bel Air dentist faces 1 count of murder with a special circumstance allegation of murder for financial gain. He faces death or life in state prison without the possibility of parole. Mark Ronner, KFI News.
American Idol star Chris Daughtry has canceled or postponed all his tour shows after the death of his 25-year-old daughter Hannah. The family has asked for privacy. Daughtry's wife says they're waiting for autopsy results to determine how she sustained injuries that killed her.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that lifted off from Cape Canaveral is putting 53 more Starlink satellites into orbit. This is the 31st Starlink mission with the goal of eventually linking up thousands of those satellites to provide worldwide broadband connectivity. We're looking at a crash on the 210 in Rialto.
It's going to be on the eastbound side, right of Riverside Avenue. That is blocking the right lane. New Baldwin Park, look out on the 10 westbound of Francisquito, a crash there blocking the right lane. And we have a work zone in Ontario on the 10 eastbound between Milliken and the I-15. We have the 3 right lanes toned off. That's going to go until 5 a.m. Monday. Look out for slow traffic from Archibald. The KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jonathan White.
If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear from home title thieves. But if you own a home like me, and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud, one of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high, and that makes us the target. The crime is scary. The cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. Now he's going to deed to your home, and you have no idea you're a victim. Then he takes out loans in your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home title lock puts a virtual barrier around your home's title. The instant they detect tampering, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, guard it with your life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. And enter radio for 30 days of free protection. That's code radio at HometitleLock.com.
Are you like me, Jeff Goldblum? Maybe we share an interest in monsters, fireworks,
Magic,
motorcycles, dogs.
This is Disney Plus. Join Jeff Goldblum for another unexpected and surprising journey in the new season of National Geographic, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, a Disney Plus Day premiere.
I love to learn about everything. The journey is it, not the destination. Enjoy the ride.
Now streaming only on Disney Plus.
This Thanksgiving, you could spend all week preparing a massive feast, or you could just go to Sizzler.com/Thanksgiving, where he can eat Thanksgiving dinners to go start at $84.99. 2 pounds of roasted turkey, 2 pounds of stuffing, 3 pounds of mashed potatoes with gravy, plus 3 more pounds of sweet potato casserole, all pre-cooked and ready to serve at home. Take home Thanksgiving dinners for 6 start at just $84.99. But you have to order ahead, so go to Sizzler.com/Thanksgiving now.
Oh, hi, Angel. Hi, Devil. Uh-oh, is she shopping again? Calm down. She's just browsing electric toothbrushes. Oh, is she using public Wi-Fi? Honey, stop. It's not safe. Angel, relax. Go ahead, girl. Password is hack me.
You don't try to be unsafe when you're online, but it can be tempting.
It's asking for her passport info to buy a toothbrush? Sounds legit to me. I don't think so, Devil.
Norton 360 with LifeLock helps keep your digital life safer. With device security, a VPN to keep your Wi-Fi activity private, and identity theft protection, all in one. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but everyone can opt in to cyber safety.
It includes free shipping in exchange for her 401k info. That makes sense. Well, how can you pass up free shipping?
Save 25% or more off your first year of Norton 360 with LifeLock at norton.com/join. That's 25% off at norton.com/join.
Southline weather from KFI. Sunny and hot today. Mid-70s to low 80s at the beaches. Upper 80s to low 90s in Metro LA and OC. Upper 80s to mid-90s in the inland valleys. And upper 80s to mid-90s in the inland empire. Clear skies tonight. Cooler temperatures tomorrow. Right now it's 61 degrees in Brea, 64 in San Clemente, 61 in Culver City, and 61 in Pasadena. We lead local. Live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Ruman.
Over 2,000 years ago, I walked this earth. Teaching, healing, inspiring, and preparing to make the ultimate sacrifice. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. What if today you and I could talk, voice to voice, and you could ask me anything? You are listening to the Jesus Christ Show. The Jesus Christ Show. I am your old host. Happy to be with you this Sunday, as I'm with you every single Sunday right here, answering your questions and talking about things that truly matter in life and the afterlife. I encourage you to be bold and brave and go to the phone with your theology question or life situation question. Anywhere in the U.S. today, dial 800-520-1534. That's 800-520-1534. Also, you can follow us during the week and during the show on Twitter at Jesus Show, Kenneth, welcome to the Jesus Christ Show.
Hi, Jesus. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. How can I help you?
Well, me and my brother debate. Sometimes he's an atheist, and he always comes up with this question, and I don't know what to tell him, and it bothers me too. He asked me, he goes, why would Jesus or God tempt Adam with the tree, and if God is omniscient and all-knowing and knows what's going to happen, why would he do it? And he asks me, doesn't it seem evil? And I don't know what to say.
No, it's not evil. To allow the possibility of a bad decision, good only comes from having the possibility of doing bad. So in this particular case, you're saying, don't do this. That doesn't create evil. What creates evil is somebody rejecting that truth or that admonition of don't do this. That's like saying, if you're training somebody a child to do the right thing, and you say, don't go into the middle of the street.
Bye.
Going into the middle of the street it could cause problems, and the child rejects
how's
it
your
and
fault?
goes into the middle of the street and gets hit by a car. That you created that. You created the possibility of that by creating the child and bringing them into the world. But the possibility and the actuality are two different things. So what your brother's trying to do is